Do you want it to be video or audio? I can do either. I can leave it just as audio if you prefer.
Just audio if you like.
Okay,
Yeah. Are you here on behalf of a group or something? Or Sonic?
I am a member of Sonic. I'm actually here on my. I'm just coming today as a constituent. So what I wanted to ask really, because like I said, stroke unit.
Yeah.
You said that you're fighting for QEQM, so I wanted to ask, would you be able to raise the stroke unit in Parliament?
Well, I could, but I want everything in QEQM, everything we possibly can. Health is changing. We have to accept that. If you have a big accident on the Thanet Way, you're not going to be going to QEQM. You're not going to be going to William Harvey or Canterbury or Medway or anywhere else. You'll be airlifted to the most specialist hospital that is going to cure your brain injury.
Yes, aware of that.
That is the way things are, and thank heavens if you did get in that state, I want to go to the best place. Now, stroke, all I can give you is my honest assessment of what the specialists have been telling me. At the moment, if you have a stroke locally, you will be carted off in an ambulance to QEQM, and you'll be part of the queue for triage and whatever else, not going to somewhere that is a specialist stroke place. It is we do a bit of everything here, and we'll do what we can. I know this for a fact, so a very good friend was at the stroke centre a little while ago.
Me too.
Unfortunately, he was found after he'd been laying on the floor for a day, and he subsequently died. So that was the way it was.
So can I interrupt for a moment?
It seems at the moment the proposal by the CCG and the group is that is not on the cards for a stroke service there.
No, it's not.
It's definitely been sort of taken off the list.
Absolutely.
But I'm listening to what the specialists are saying about how these specialist stroke hyperacute centres work elsewhere in the country, and they've had better results. And that's really important.
Well, I'd love to talk about that, actually. Yeah. I'm glad you raised that.
Well, that's what they're telling me through the empirical evidence they've got.
Have you only gone on the briefing that you've got from the STP?
Well, I've met them quite a number of times. I've met them 3, 4 or 5 times now.
I would really urge you to interrogate some of that information yourself, because, yes, that is the plan they are trying to sell to everybody.
Yes,
if you only go by their briefing, you're only going to get their messaging.
Absolutely.
And they are much... I mean, do you want me to tell you today?
They've got the stats.
Evidence.
They've got the stats, I haven't.
We have too.
They've got the specialist who is in control of stroke services across the whole of Kent and Medway, and he supports that view.
He does, but have you noticed, like for example, we didn't see you at any of the listening events, unfortunately, but the listening events that were held across Kent, he is the only stroke specialist that has been on the panel and talked about it. When he's not been available, they've had to get like an ex-A&E doctor from London on one occasion, another time they got a renal doctor.
I did go to one of the listening ones at the Chatham and Clarendon School.
Yeah, that's not part of. Yes, that was in January, and that wasn't part of the consultation. That was about A&E, not stroke, as well.
Yeah, it ended up being stroke.
It certainly did. Yeah. Now, look, I really want to sort of point out that it's very important that you look at some of the other statistics, and you were talking about the stroke units around the country. So, for example, in the listening events that we went to, so this is a part of a public consultation, and I'm sure you would agree, all information that's put forward in public consultation must be correct.
Of course.
It must not be misleading or false. They did say in those meetings that 50% of the country had switched to HAS use. They've not. It's now 25%. They've admitted now that that was a mistake. And of those that have changed to HAS use, they've not been in existence, apart from the London one and the Manchester one. They've not been around long enough for them to have reliable evidence.
Yeah.
So there really isn't proof that it's worked anywhere else.
Okay.
The only evidence that they are referring to
I think London's got a number of years of experience, yeah.
London does, that's the only one. But there's a problem with that, because the evidence of London, and this is what the whole consultation hinges upon, the fact that it's an improvement, right? That's why you support it, because you've been told it's an improvement.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I want people to come out walking, if they possibly can, and get back to normal
alive and walking.
Absolutely.
And having survived the ambulance, Jen. So, this evidence, everything hinges on this one piece of evidence, which is the London study. First of all, the uplift was tiny. It was very, very small. 96 people, they believe, lived and wouldn't have otherwise out of the population of London, right? So that's very, very big. Now, if you translated that same change to here, it would to 1.8 million people in Kent, it would be 1.5 people.
Right.
Okay. How many are going to die in the ambulance? Balance those two things. If you're getting lots of people dying in the ambulance, or maybe say you've got 4 people dying in the ambulance over the course of a whole year, and then you've got 1 person saved, it doesn't look very good.
I'll tell you, ideally,
And that,
I want that stroke
things?
unit to be here.
Yes.
Of course I do.
Can you raise it in Parliament then?
I don't think we'll win. That's the problem.
You've raised in Parliament the fact that a bank closed in Broadstairs and one in Sandwich.
Yeah.
It's not really as big an issue, is it, a closure of the High Street Bank?
No, but there's something I might be able to win. That's the difference. I don't think...
Craig, I think you
listen,
do have
I don't
influence.
think in the plan...
You should represent your constituents.
I don't think in the plan to have acute stroke units. We have both an advantage and a disadvantage with our geography. We have the advantage that QEQM, I think, will always be there at a fairly high level for most things,
so.
A&E and everything else, because we are, there is nowhere very near.
Well, you know that there is a proposal at the end of this year, so how can you say that about A&E? It's at risk.
It's not at risk. That is not at risk. I don't know who's told you that. It is not at risk. There is not a hope.
There are 2 options in the proposal.
Yeah, but I've not heard any serious proposal that QEQM will lose its A&E.
There are 2 proposals. So let's say it's a 50-50 chance. Let's say it's 50% for those 2 options. One of them, the A&E is closed. Yeah, the other one, it's downgraded.
Downgraded, yeah. I've heard the proposals. I just do not believe that will possibly happen
that
because of our
doesn't
geography.
translate into a risk for you?
It does, but I just don't think common sense will ever allow that to happen because of where we are. I say that's the upside of our geography. The downside of our geography, if we're talking about real specialist places, is that we have got 2/3 of nearby is sea. And so hence, when they're talking about this type of stroke unit, it will always go somewhere where you've got a lot of land around it because it's got a lot of drawing of lots of different places. Now, I would, just thinking personally, would I rather be pitched up on an ambulance to a we try and do everything type place? Or would you rather be pitched up at somewhere that says, we have got everything here, and that's where you'll get your initial treatment, and then after a few days,
Craig,
once we've stabilised you, you'll be going
there aren't any
somewhere else.
specialists? Do you think there aren't any specialists, stroke specialists working at QEQM at the moment?
Oh, there are, of course there are.
Yes.
Of course there are. Yes, of course.
There is already a specialist
unit, yes.
With specialists.
But I don't think it operates at the higher level.
It's one of the best in Kent. William and Harvey are the 2 best in Kent. So the ones that are actually having problems are in other parts of Kent.
Yeah.
So when I've spoken to the people about this and I've said, why are we closing one of the better units in Kent? And they said, well, we need to even things out across Kent. We need to have a standard that's the same across Kent. So what we're going to do is we're going to close one of the best ones, and that's the one that your constituents use.
Go to, yeah. No, I'm very aware.
I would really like you to consider
aware about this sort of fast hour and all this. The fast.
Can I mention the other things about this? So the evidence that this is going to be an improvement, which is obviously, if this isn't improvement, then it's a bad plan, right?
Of course.
So in that study that we were talking about in London, they didn't include deaths that occurred in the ambulances. Okay. The study only covered what happened once you're inside the hospital. Many argue that the uplift was simply bringing London up to the same standards of the rest of the country, because at that time London was of inferior standards, so they're starting from a low base. And the study of the success that has used in London, now this is very different to Kent, there was an upper limit of 30 minutes journey time to a stroke unit for that. Yeah. Can you see how different that is?
That is different, of course it is, yeah.
It's very different. Most people reach a stroke unit within 16 minutes. So they're saying in London. So they're saying that is applicable to here in Kent, where they're going to give us here in Thanet, they're going to have an hour. Now, also, you know that Thanet District Council have said that they vehemently oppose the stroke plan. Could you come out and say the same?
I can do, of course I will. But I've been looking at the facts I've been given.
Look, this has been going on since January. You're an MP. You need to look closer than just... You can't just go and have a meeting and be told some facts by somebody who's clearly backing the plan and leave it at that. You've got to do your own study.
I think the clinician could not stand up and say something that isn't right. I trust his professionalism to say, this is what I believe, this is a good idea because... I can't say, but then I've heard this and that from other people and I believe that more.
You don't have to hear it from other people. You can read it in the British Medical Journal, Craig. Would that be good enough for you? I can send it to you.
Well, you can do by all means.
I will do.
I would rather everything stayed at QEQM. Of course I would. That's what I'm here to fight for.
Then say something in Parliament about it. Do something for the constituents here and go to Parliament and say, my constituents are not happy with it, because you know that's true.
Of course, yeah.
And talk about, and we can brief you on this. We can show you, like I say, you can read this evidence yourself in the BMJ, British Medical Journal, okay? This evidence is out there that this is not a good plan. And it's true there are two conflicting bits of evidence, but as I've just shown you, this is... How can we be using a study where the upper limit journey time is 30 minutes?
Or 16 as average.
Yeah. And say that is somehow a sensible thing to base our health care on. The Health Trust
tells me they are struggling to recruit for all these specialist departments as well. That's another.
Yes, that's
something else in the pot as well.
I would say of all the things that they say, the one main thing is that there is an improvement, which is clearly not the case. With recruitment, it's a little bit harder to sort of completely break down that argument, but they also haven't given us enough to prove that that's the case. If you'd been to the listening events, you'd have noticed that every time they talked about recruitment, they immediately flipped to national figures. They didn't talk about local figures. They'd say, this is a national problem, there is a national shortage of X amount, and so on.
Well, that is true, and lots of these specialisms, it really is.
Yeah, and GPs is the worst one.
Absolutely.
Now, they have not... Can I just say one more thing on the recruitment? When you look at the statistics for where the recruitment problems are worst in the country, obviously the best is London, they have the least problem, and second is here in Kent, okay?
Least problems?
Second least.
Okay.
So in terms, compared to the rest of the country...
We're in a better place.
We are, yeah, we really are. And also, when you look at, in the PCBC, which is the pre-consultation business case, and you go through all the statistics in there and the different stats about recruitment in hospitals, QEQM isn't a particularly bad one, and yet it was removed. It was removed from the list of options.
Right.
Do you think it's fair that Thanet, people of Thanet have no option that they could choose from?
Well, where did these listening days go?
Can you answer that question first?
Sorry, what? More of a number of statements there rather than a question.
Do you think it's fair that the people of Thanet had no option to choose from in the consultation?
No, it's not. No, it should have been in the mix from the start. Everything. There should be a consultation where nothing's decided. Everything is open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took one of the biggest options off the table. And actually, again, if you look in the pre-consultation documents, you'll see that they had a long list to begin with. This wasn't included in the public part of the consultation.
Yeah, and the list got smaller and smaller.
They whittled it down until they had a short list. But in the long list, there was an option called Option 13. QEQM was in that, so there's still only 3 HASUs. But in that one, 99% of people in Kent could get to a HASU in 45 minutes.
Yeah,
but in all of the options they included in the consultation, it's like 91%.
Yeah.
So basically...
You actually, diminish... Yeah. The travel time is increased for more people than it solves.
Yeah, no, that is a lot of people. There are far more people outside the safe zone.
But it comes down to...
And they didn't let the people of Kent have a choice on that, whether they thought that was a better option.
Here. What evidence do you believe?
Well, that's their own evidence.
What evidence do you believe on outcomes? That's really important to me, the outcome.
Yeah, like I'm telling you here.
Well, yeah, okay.
There is no... They are proposing a huge change
based on flimsy evidence.
Based on very flimsy evidence. And this is outcomes of death and disability outcomes. And absolutely. All the way through the consultation, I was challenging. I was saying, can we hold this off until you get very good evidence on death and disability outcomes? And they talked about saying that some will come, and then they just said no, this is enough, the London evidence is absolutely fine.
Well, I had a meeting with the Trust. It was a closed doors meeting with whoever number of Kent MPs who wanted to attend. There was quite a few of us there. It was up in Faversham a few weeks ago. And it was a very heated discussion, I'll tell you that.
Well, I bet it will, because what this consultation actually does is it pits different parts of Kent against each other,
of course.
Rather than...
If you're a winner, you're going to say, yeah, it's marvellous, I'm happy.
And at the moment, nobody knows who will and won't be a winner anyway, so that most of Kent is wondering whether or not they'll be all right, and we know that we definitely won't. We've been excluded from the beginning.
Because we've got this other thing in the mix, of course.
We're going from 6 units down to 3 units, so we're halving the amount of units, so there'll be other parts of Kent. It's going to be a total of 171, it's going to be a total of 10% of Kent that cannot reach a HASU within a safe time. And that's within 45 minutes. In London, 30 minutes. Can you see the complete inequality?
You've got the other thing in the mix as well, is this huge pressure by a very active campaign group for expansion at Canterbury in general. That's all in the mix as well. So this is a really muddy story, frankly.
Well, I don't think it is that muddy. I think there's a lot of clarity, and I think that you could go to Parliament and talk about this. I think you could start fighting for us and for the people of Kent. Now we're at a stage where in September the plan is going to be voted through or not.
Yeah.
It probably is going to be voted through. We've spoken to people in other parts of the country that have already been through this process.
Right.
So we have a strong idea of what will happen, and what will probably happen is it will be voted through and then it will be implemented. So the only 2 chances we really got of doing anything about this is if...
political involvement,
Well, one is if the CCGs do something, but we know that they won't. So the other option is actually political. Yes, it's you. It really is. It's you and Roger Gale. So I really, really would like to... And like I said, the Thanet District Council, which is, that was a cross-party group in Thanet District Council, they said they vehemently oppose, currently a Conservative-led council saying they vehemently oppose the plan. So you're our MP, why can you not oppose the plan?
Well, I can, but I want facts. I want
evidence. I will give you evidence.
And where I've
what I'm giving you is a lack of evidence.
Yeah.
It's not for us to prove that this won't work. It's for them to prove that it will work. They're proposing a huge plan, a huge change that will result in quite possibly a lot of death and quite possibly a lot more disabled people in Thanet. That could be the outcome. We already have terrible problems here with trying to afford our health care.
I find it really hard to believe that any health trust would be proposing a change that will kill people. I really find that hard to believe.
Well, you know that they've got a £456 million deficit, which is basically, they are the CCGs who do the commissioning and run the budgets. They have a statutory duty to not run at a deficit.
Of course.
So their hands are, of course they're doing this. They are legally obliged to do this.
So you think this is being done to save money rather than save lives?
Yes.
Well, that's where we have a difference in evidence.
And even if you don't believe that, there isn't enough evidence.
To support
if you want something that you can use, or you can stand on, you can say.
I'm told a number of things.
Evidence.
Number one, this will have better outcomes. Okay, we'll argue whether that's true or not.
I can show you this.
Number two, they say
it's true.
We struggle to recruit.
Yes.
Number three, we've got this whole extra mix of expansion at Canterbury or not.
Well, your issue is South Thanet.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And my issue is the health of people in South Thanet. And I'm being told this will have a better outcome for them. And the primary clinician supports that. The Stroke Association support that. They've written saying these things are good.
Do you know what else the Stroke Association say, though? They say that, and this is in their specific document, their report that they wrote about HASUs, they said that no stroke unit should ever be closed with the justification that there isn't enough staff.
Right. Okay, so how are you going to solve the staff problem?
It's not down for me to solve the staff problem. What I would like you to do is to interrogate them. There are questions that we've asked for and we've not had answered, so you could give us support in getting those answered.
I will always do that.
So we can see what's going on. That would be great, thank you very much. And the other thing is you could raise in Parliament the fact that this plan is being pushed through. It's at a national level anyway.
Yeah.
And it's being pushed through. It's going to result in large parts of the country, Thanet being one of them, that are within an hour journey, and it is not safe. There's no evidence that is safe, and therefore they shouldn't be rolling it out. I mean, it's one thing for them to roll it out in areas where there's a half-hour journey time.
Yeah.
But they're stretching way beyond that. And this is an experiment on your constituents.
I mean, I'm told the services that may exist at Ashford will be at a higher level than we see either there or here at the moment. The machines the machines that go ping and the specialisms that will be wrapped around you will be superior than what we have at either site now.
I've been told that this is not about scanners, for example. That's what I've been told. That's in writing. The changes that they're going to make would be good to see those. Those sorts of changes. Yeah, there are changes. The improvements that were used in London and that could be made effectively in any hospital are improvements in door-to-needle time, which is to do with having teams in place ready to meet the ambulance, communicating with the team beforehand, all these things that, I mean, frankly, you'd kind of hope were happening anyway, but it turns out they weren't.
No, I don't think they were.
And it would be, obviously, we all want that to be improved, but the centralisation part of this, the taking 6 units and making them into 3, they've tacked that on to what are the improvements. These are 2 separate things. They are trying to cut the services back, and they're marrying it to some quite small improvements, and they're doing that to obviously sweeten the pill to get this through. So, I mean, you've agreed that you'll help me get some questions answered, and that would be very, very, very good. I would really love you to raise this issue in Parliament. Can I send you some documentation? Particularly, I think what you need to focus on is the fact that there was no option for the people of Thanet. Which I think is, you seem to agree yourself that wasn't ideal. Yeah. And the other thing is that this is an unevidenced plan for something that is a major reconfiguration. So I can send you evidence on, those things. You can go and look at it yourself. You can read the documents and see that we're not, cooking this up, as it were.
The London experiences, It's not matching apples and apples.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. But you can appreciate from my point of view, I'm given evidence from people I ought to be able to trust and believe.
Well, I think I would like to say...
And on the other side, frankly, all I'm faced with is a lot of... many of them political activists saying all that evidence from these professional people is wrong.
Well,
that is a difficulty.
I would really like to say something on that. I'm glad you've raised it. I think I would really like, as an MP, going forward, for you to maybe not make those sort of judgments and just go, okay, I'm being, information's coming to me from, top executives at the NHS. Of course, I expect them to be telling me the truth. But it actually, these are strange times we're living in, and I need to examine their evidence, and I need to pay attention to it. And when people, when I see that there's a community group saying, we don't agree with this, we think this is wrong, maybe don't dismiss them out of hand based on the facts.
I've never dismissed them at all. It's just that...
And yes, the opposition party is making noises.
A community group...
And you shouldn't dismiss them either, necessarily.
A community group that just thinks is not the same as a clinician telling me this is my professional view. That's quite different evidence.
We've got professionals, who are commenting with us as well. We've got a number of doctors that have joined with us and looked at these.
But the Stroke Association, I've been in contact with, and they seem quite comfortable.
Yeah,
and actually
I've had conversations with
things.
Tara Galloway too, and it got to a point where she just backed away and she sort of had to pass it off onto other people. I don't think she knows the details that well.
Okay.
She's doing a bit of a PR job. She goes and and I think she's told what to say. Stroke Association are obviously a brilliant organisation, but they also do get contracts in the NHS, so they get some of their funding from the NHS, so they're not completely independent. And like I said, they have their own messaging out there, and they are going against their own messaging by supporting this plan. And I think they're doing it because they believe, like you do, that what they've been told, that these are going to be improvements, but they haven't interrogated and examined, that information. I mean, it is the job of politicians to scrutinise the things that they're told, I think. So, you know, I would really like going forward for you to maybe scrutinise all the information you get, no matter what the source.
Yeah, but you can understand from my point of view. I'm being told by the...
we have been saying for a long time that there are problems with the evidence.
The CCG, the main clinician and the Stroke Association are saying one thing.
Yeah.
And
well,
then
actually, no, because Tony Martin, who's the head of Thanet CCG...
Yes, I know Tony.
Yeah, he supported the plan, but he did admit that this evidence was not good enough.
Okay.
He was hoping for more evidence.
Yeah.
And he said he wanted there to be more evidence before he voted, but he's now not going to be voting because he has retired.
Has he retired?
Yeah,
okay.
He retired at the end of May.
Okay. No shame I met him in about April then.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of strange actually that he was talking to us in that way about him voting, because he was always going to be retiring at the end of May. Dr. Jihad Malassi. He's a doctor at Ashford.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know the name.
So,
you can see. Let's go through that again. I've had the CCGs.
I know you're keen to justify yourself.
Well, the trusts.
You know, this has been going on for months.
The main clinician and the Stroke Association are saying, yeah, we can see this is going to have better outcomes. And the other side, all I've had is political campaigners saying, we don't want this.
That's not true. That is very much not true about the other side.
Well,
Sonic have produced lots of information.
Who would you believe in a to say?
We've produced a 49-page study on this.
Yeah.
You know, we have been trying to contact you. I mean, I've been trying to contact you a lot on social media and I haven't had a response. I've tried to contact the South Thanet Conservative Association. I've tried to contact all of the parties. But the thing is, this is about what we're going to do going forward, and
have you sent me that 49-page report?
We can send it to you. Happy to send it to you.
Recall seeing it.
No, we haven't. I've been trying to contact you, and you haven't. I mean, to be honest, at the beginning, you said you supported the plan, and then I noticed that you had sent a letter to a constituent where you said you were fighting for the QEQM, and that's why I've come to see you. Yeah. Because before that, as I understood it, you just said that you supported the plan. Well, because it comes
down to if you get cut out of your car on the Thanet Way, where do you want to go? I want to go to the best place.
Well, yes, but that would be if you're. I mean, it's a totally different thing. If you're talking about serious trauma and serious accidents, people get airlifted. It's completely different. They don't do that for strokes. No one's going to go in a helicopter for a stroke. In fact, for a stroke, you're not even urgency level number 1. You're number 2.
Number 2. Yeah.
You could wait 40 minutes for an ambulance. So, can we count on you to speak in Parliament then? If you're happy with the evidence, with the stuff that we show you.
I'm not going to act because a group says this.
We will show you.
I need evidence.
Okay, let me put it this way: the 4 problems that I raised with the evidence that they are using, if you can see that is factual, will you raise something in Parliament, please?
I will always do something that's right once I'm satisfied it's right. Yeah.
Okay, so we may be able to get you to raise something in Parliament.
Of course.
I think...
I'll raise any legitimate concern.
Would you... Okay, on another issue then, the fact that the people of Thanet had no option to choose from, you've said you think that's wrong. Can you raise that in Parliament?
I could do, yeah.
That's not...
Once I've got the full picture of this, I will raise it as a package.
Okay.
Rather than I would bite of this, bite of that, bite of the other.
Okay. I mean, you raised the dentist, didn't you, in Parliament?
I did.
You know, the closure of one dentist you raised. Yeah.
That's 8,000 people who've been massively inconvenienced.
I know, yeah,
appalling.
I know. It is very
absolutely appalling.
But this is 141,000 people that are going to be facing a higher risk of death and disability. So, it is more serious than the dentist.
Okay. You keep raising this, there's going to be a higher risk of death or disability. That's not what the clinicians tell me.
Okay, they are saying, for example, that don't worry, at the new unit, people will be seen and treated within 2 hours. They're saying that they've got to give it a 2-hour. Yeah. So that's from call to needle, 2 hours. Yeah. Now the journey time is 1 hour. Yeah. You can be waiting 40 minutes for an ambulance potentially, and then there's a loading time. So if you add that up, that could be 2 hours already.
Yeah.
Okay, and even if it's not 2 hours, it's cutting it bloody fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not good enough.
Mm.
They know that this is. I think they know this is quite flimsy. They've admitted themselves that the people of Thanet are the most adversely affected.
Yeah. I say, this is because of advantageous of geography and disadvantageous on certain things, and this is one of those that's, I think, advantageous that QEQM will always have a high facility for many things.
Okay.
But it's disadvantageous because it doesn't fit in with this geography for this hyperacute unit scheme.
Well, it doesn't have to only be 3 units. There's no good evidence either that it has to be 3 units. It could be 4 or 5 units. So that's another factor. If there were 4 or 5 units, we could easily have one at QEQM. And I think another point that I just really want to raise about your role and your ability to make change. In Southend, their A&E was under threat.
Yeah.
There was a group there called Southend Solar NHS, and they got, everybody was very angry about it. There's a huge protest in the town, and their MP raised it in Parliament a couple of times, and the plan went away.
But David Amis, I think, could be.
So, we're asking.
This is something Roger and I need to attack together.
Well, that would be good, but if you can't get Roger on your side, I'd really like if you did it on your own as well, because I live in South Thanet, so you're my MP.
But give me your evidence.
I will do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the moment I've only had one side of the evidence, and quite understandably,
I would like to stress that what we're sending you is not so much evidence. We're sending you the fact that their evidence is no good. So, do you see what I mean? But it's that the evidence that they are using that underpins this whole idea that it's an improvement. We can show you.
You said you had some BMA evidence as well.
BMJ, yes. Well, it's evidence. It's evidence in the sense that it's showing. It's not evidence showing that the plan won't work. It's evidence showing that their claim,
assumptions aren't.
Well, the idea that this is an improvement is based on one thing, and it is is woefully flimsy. Yeah. So I'll send that to you,
all right, okay.
And a few other bits as well.
Okay.
And like I say, the fact that the people of Thanet had no option to choose.
I mean, I am always available, but I will not ever respond in great detail and length on Facebook or Twitter because you just can't get to the nub of the issue. It's never going to.
Well, that's why I came to see you, and
good,
hopefully
and I'm
this
really
will
pleased
make
you
a
have.
difference.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll end this here then.
All right.